Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Text number 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vidya Vinaya Sampane. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha Pandita Samadarshinaha Vidya Vinayana Sambhane Brahmane Gavihastuni Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Gavihastani Suni Chaiva Sapake Cha Pandita Samadarshanaha
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Vidya Vinayana Sampane
Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshina
Pandita Samadarshanaha
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Vidya Vinayana Sampane
Brahmane Gavihastini
Brahmane Gavihastini
Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha
Suni Chaiva Sapake Cha
Pandita Samadarshinaha
Pandita Samadarshanaha Vidya Vinayana Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini Suni Chaiva Sapake Cha Pandita Samadarshanaha
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Vidya Vinaya Sambande
Brahmane Gavihastani
Brahmane Gavihastani
Suni Chaiva Sapake Cha
Suni Chaiva Sapake Cha
Pandita Samadarshina
Pandita Samadarshanaha Vidya Vinaya Sambane Brahmane Gavihastani Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshanaha Vidya Vinayana Sampane Brahmane Gavihastani Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshanaha Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastani Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha. Any ladies want to try? Ladies? Bolo. Give her the microphone. Fast, 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 fast.
Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Vidya Vinayana Sambhane
Brahmane Gavihastani
Brahmane Gavihastani
Suni Sunichaiva Swapake Cha
Sunichaiva Sapake Cha
Pandita Samadarshina.
Pandita Samadarshanaha. Anyone else? Okay. Vidya with education. Vinaya and gentleness. Samane fully equipped. Brahmane in the Brahmana. Gavi in the cow. Hastini in the elephant. Suni in the dog. Cha and. Eva certainly. Swapake in the dog eater, the outcast. Cha respectively. Panditaha, those who are wise. Samadarshinaha, who see with equal vision. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Purport. A Krishna-conscious person does not make any distinction between species or caste. The Brahmin and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog or a cow and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of the body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme. For the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned, in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entity. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmins, although the body of a Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material, productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the supersoul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the supersoul, however, does not make them equal in quantity, for the individual soul is present only in the particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna-conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he's truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and the supersoul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the supersoul is conscious of all bodies. The supersoul is present in all bodies without distinction. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Gadim Yat Kripa Tadaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram. Hare Krishna. So this is a very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. It explains, Krishna is explaining how the sage, the Pandita, right? In how he thinks, how he sees the world, the Pandit. In the village, if somebody has a choti, they say, "Hey, Pandit." But he may not be Pandit. Just by keeping choti, you don't become Pandit. You have to see like this. Like Krishna explaining here how you see the world, how you see everyone, every living entity. And so how is that? How should a Pandit see every living entity? And if someone doesn't see like Krishna explains, they're not Pandit. They're not Pandit. They may have choti, they may have kantimala, but they're not Pandit. They have to see like this. And what is that? They see all the same. But there's two things Prabhupada clarifies. There's the external body, that may be different, right? The Brahman body and the activities of Brahman are different from the Shuni Swapakecha, means a person who eats dogs. Generally, it's considered if somebody eats dogs, they're low, needs jati. So how can the Pandit see the same? Why? He doesn't see on the bodily concept. He sees on the spiritual platform. He sees the spirit soul of the living entity, not the body. Right? What is that? The living entity inside the body, whatever it is, Hati, Shuni, Brahmin, or Shudra, is the same. No difference. There's not Brahmin souls, Kuta souls, Hati souls. No. Soul is the same. Body is different. You understand? Body is different. Soul is the same. So a Pandit, he sees everyone as having a soul. And along with the soul, in that body, and everybody is the super soul. Prabhupada calls the super soul. Bhagavad Gita says Paramatma. Paramatma. There's Atma and Paramatma. So Atma and Paramatma, they're equal and they're different. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this understanding of the absolute truth. That everything is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord. So we as souls are one with God. And we're also different. What is that oneness? Prabhupada explains, God is conscious and the living entity is conscious. What's the difference between a dead body and a live body? Consciousness, right? A live body, there's consciousness. And in a dead body, no consciousness. Why? No soul. Soul is gone. Some people foolishly think they are the body and they have a soul. But no, they are a soul and they have a body. The body's changing. Sometimes a Brahmin body, sometimes a, what do you call, Shudra body, sometimes in the Hatti body, Kuta body, Billy body, so many bodies, 8,400,000, 84 lakh, alag-alag yoni hai. So many different species of life. Huh? So, what's the common factor? The soul. The soul. All the souls are connected to Krishna. Mamai vangsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Krishna says all the jivas, they're my angsa. They're part of God. Small part. God is very big. Paramatma is in everyone's heart. Paramatma is in everyone's heart, but we occupy one body. The Supreme Lord occupies everybody. He's in your heart. He's in my heart. He's in the heart of the dog. He's in the heart of the elephant. He's in the heart of the tree. He's everywhere, expanded as the Paramatma. Now, God's eternal, and you're eternal, and God is full of knowledge, and you're full of knowledge. God is full of bliss, and in our original consciousness, we're also full of bliss, ananda. But can you expand yourself into each and everybody? Not possible. Okay. Only God can do that. So same in quality, difference in quantity. Achintya Veda Veda Tattva. Simultaneously, one and different. Now, some philosophers say that the living entity is also God. Right? But Bhagavad Gita doesn't say that. Lord Krishna is confirmed by Arjuna. Param Brahma, Param Dham, Paramam Pavitram. That he's the supreme abode, the supreme Brahman. It's not that the living entity can become God. God is always God. How can the living entity become God? The living entity is not God. The living entity is part of God, small part, very, very small. Right? You understand that principle? And if God is always God, you cannot become God. Some philosophers say you chant this mantra and 6 months you can become God. It's not possible. It's not according to Bhagavad Gita. In the end of this chapter, Krishna says, Surinam Sarvabhutanam. I'm the friend of every living entity. How is that? Just see. When Krishna sends the rain, it rains everywhere. It doesn't just rain on the Brahman's house. It rains on the Shudra's house. It rains in the jungle for the elephants. It rains everywhere. Isn't it? So he's equal. He's distributing. It's not that he only gives food to the human beings, but he also gives food to the elephants. So much food. Right? You can eat half kilo. The elephant can eat 50 kilos. Right? But who's supplying those food? Krishna. Everyone. Equally. He's giving the food. Right? He's giving their sustenance. The air, where's the air coming from? Air is the energy of God. Everybody can breathe, right? I got a cold, so I can't breathe very good right now. But everybody can take a breath, right? And the air is open to everyone. The sunlight is open to everyone. So God is the friend of everyone. But can you be the friend of everyone? You may have some friends, but you may have some enemies also. Some people might talk good about us, and other people may talk bad about us. Ada admi aisa hai, faltu admi hai. The people talk like that, right? But Krishna is the friend of everyone. We can't do that. We can't be friend of everyone. Because we're conditioned souls. We see differences in people. This is a high-class person, this is a low-class person. What do they say? Needs jati. right? But the sage and Krishna, they don't see like that. They see everyone equally on the spiritual platform. Spiritual. Satchit Ananda. All living entities are Satchit. God is Satchit Ananda. The difference is God is great and we are very small. So this is a very important verse for us to understand how the Pandit sees, how the Pandit should see. The ruin of the Varnashram system is because people don't see properly. They don't see the oneness of all living entities as spirit souls. And so they think that people think that you can kill the animals because they have no soul. But that's not true. Everything that is alive is because there is a soul. And everything alive goes through different processes. It's born, it grows, it gives off some byproducts, it dwindles, and finally is finished. All material bodies are experiencing the same changes, right? But although the body experiences these changes, the soul remains the same. The soul remains the same. So, if we want to see things spiritually, we have to learn how to see. We have to learn with knowledge. We're born in the darkness of ignorance. This is Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, people are not very interested in spiritual life. They're more interested in material life. Penai palyusha sabya kalavasmin yuge janaha manda sumanna matayo manda bhagya yupadrutaha. In Kali Yuga, people are manda. They're not interested in spiritual life. They're interested in sense gratification, earning money and spending it on sense gratification. Manda. And Sumanda. Sumanda means even if they're interested in spiritual life, then along comes some cheater babu to misguide them. I'm God, you're God, everybody's God. This is cheating. We're not God. We're part of God. The servant of God. And they're very short life. They don't live very long. Kali Yuga will become so that if somebody lives to the age of 30, they'll think he's a very old person, 30 years old. And we can see, 30-year-old people now, they're dying of a heart attack. Before nobody died of a heart attack at 30. Now in Kali Yuga is going on. So Kali Yuga is a bad time, not a good time. And it will become worse. Bhagavatam says, Kali Yuga will become so bad that people will become like cannibals. And the human being will eat the human being. So bad it will become. So, what should we do? We should perfect this human form of life by engaging in pure devotional service so that at the end of this life we can go back home, back to the spiritual world. This is the responsibility of the human being. That's why we have this human form of life. That's why we have extra intelligence. Not for eating, sleeping, mating like the cats and dogs. So are there any questions regarding this verse? So let's read the next verse. Ihaiva jita sargo yesham samyastitam manaha nirdosham hi samang brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. So Krishna goes on to explain how the liberated person thinks, how the liberated person acts. In the previous verse, he sees all living entities, all bodies same. Why? Spirit soul is there, Paramatma is there. And this is also how he sees. Purport. Equanimity of mind, as mentioned above, is the sign of self-realization. Those who have actually attained to such a stage should be considered to have conquered material conditions, specifically birth and death. As long as one identifies with his body, he's considered a conditioned soul. And as soon as he's elevated to the stage of equanimity through realization of self, he's liberated from conditional life. In other words, he's no longer subject to take birth in the material world, but can enter into the spiritual sky after his death. The Lord is flawless because he's without attraction or hatred. Similarly, when a living entity is without attraction or hatred, he also becomes flawless and eligible to enter into the spiritual sky. Such persons are to be considered already liberated, and their symptoms are described below. So two symptoms here are being explained by Lord Krishna. One is that they are flawless. They don't have mistakes. If you have a flawless, something is flawless, it means that there's no mistake. There's no bad quality in it. Nirdosh. Nirdosh means no mistake. So the devotee of the Lord is no mistake. And he's already, equanimity is there, as in the previous verse. He's equal to everyone. He doesn't make distinctions, right? Just like in the temple, everyone can come and take prasadam. We don't say certain people can take prasadam, everyone, right? In some temples, only one community comes. But Hare Krishna temple is for everybody, right? Not just the Sindhis or the Gujaratis, it's open for everyone. Everyone come, take prasadam, see Radha and Krishna, hear the holy name, right? You'll be advanced in spiritual life, right? So this is equanimity, equal to all persons. And the flawlessness is this. Everyone makes mistakes. Every conditioned soul makes mistakes. How can they become flawless? The living entity become flawless by following the Shastra, the teachings of Krishna. We make mistakes. That's the nature. We're conditioned souls. But Krishna doesn't make mistakes. And those who follow his instructions perfectly, they also don't make mistakes. If I tell you, bring me a glass of water, and you follow that, you bring me a glass of water, then that's correct. But if you bring me a glass of milk, when I'm saying bring me a glass of water, that's a mistake, right? So Krishna is very clear what he wants us to do. He's given us instructions, Bhagavad Gita. If we try to understand these instructions and apply them into our lives and act accordingly, then we can live without mistakes. We can become flawed, nirdosh, no mistake. How? Following the instructions of Krishna. Krishna is pure. He says like this, I do like that, then you become flawless. If I act according to my own idea, my own desire, my own ambitions, then I'm bound to make mistake. Even great people make mistakes, right? Very elevated people make mistakes. Huh? Gandhi, the leader of our country, right? India, he made the mistake. They told him, don't go to that prayer meeting. But he went anyway to the prayer meeting and he was shot. So even such a highly placed person can make mistakes. But if we listen to the instructions of Krishna, regularly read Bhagavad Gita, then we can become free from mistakes. Gradually, as we learn. So flawlessness, equanimity. These are the qualities, and there are more qualities. The Pandit, the real Pandit, the devotee of the Lord, the self-realized soul, has many other qualities also, and that's being described here in this 5th chapter, verses number 13 to 29. All the qualities of a person who is already realized, who's already fixed himself in the Paramatma, is being described. So we'll read another verse. Na prarischat priyam prapya, no dvijat prapya cha priyam, stira buddhir asumudho, brahma vid brahmani stitaha. A person who neither rejoices upon receiving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who's self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. The symptoms of the self-realized person are given herein. The first symptom is that he's not illusioned by false identification of the body with the true self. He knows perfectly well that he's not this body, but is fragmental portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that we tried to explain earlier. We're not this body, we're the eternal spirit soul. The soul gives life to the body, right? And a person who realizes this does not lament, right? We're always lamenting, we're always hankering, right? Na sochati, na kanchati. Hankering for what we don't have, lamenting for what we've lost, right? But as someone who understands they're not the body, they're the eternal spirit soul, they become free from this hankering and lamenting. He is therefore not joyful in achieving something, nor does he lament in losing anything which is related to his body. This steadiness of mind is called sthira buddhi, or self-intelligence. He's therefore never bewildered by mistaking the gross body for the soul, nor does he accept the body as permanent and disregard the existence of the soul. This knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the complete science of the Absolute Truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. He thus knows his constitutional position perfectly well, without falsely trying to become one with the Supreme in all respects. This is called Brahman realization or self-realization. Such steady consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. So what is Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness means to not be in the bodily consciousness, and Krishna consciousness means to be conscious that we are eternal spirit souls. That's what Krishna consciousness means. And how to do that? Specifically in this age, the best way to come to the platform of self-realization or Krishna consciousness is to chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Another quality of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga has so many faults. It's described in Bhagavatam that Kali Yuga is like an ocean of bad qualities. Bad qualities. And one of the bad qualities of people in Kali Yuga is they think they have no time. No time. The biggest disease in Kali Yuga is people think they have no time. If you ask anyone, please chant Hare Krishna, they'll say, I have no time. They have time for Twitter, they have time for Facebook, they have time for newspapers. It used to be newspapers, but now it's Twitter and Facebook and all these other things, right? But if you ask them to chant, Ana, mera paas samay nahi hai. This is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga. And then, at the end of their life, they said, oh God, save me God, I'm dying. So God comes and says, Mera paas samay nahi hai. Whole life you don't have time for God. You don't want to chant His holy name. And at the end, you're saying, God save me? Yes, if you think of God at the end of your life, that's perfection. But you won't be able to do that unless you practice. Practice. And therefore, chanting the holy name is so important. How much time it takes? One round takes 5 or 7 minutes. Chant as many rounds as you comfortably can do. And that becomes sadhana bhakti. Don't think you don't have time. Krishna is within our hearts. He's in everyone's heart. And when we don't have time to chant His name, that means we don't have time to talk to God. We have time to talk to our, customers and our friends. So much time talking to friends. Ba 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 ba. Bahut baatchit kare sara din. But no time to talk with God. How do you talk to God? Chant His holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Those who give some time for the Lord by chanting His holy name, He takes care of them. He gives them protection. Right? He's already our friend. He gives us air, light, water. Everything comes from Him. But when we chant His holy name, He takes special care. Special care. So if we want the special care of God, we should read Bhagavad Gita every day, and we should chant His holy name every day, and then it's possible at the end of this life to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Any questions? No questions? That means everybody's going to chant the holy name from today on? Huh? No questions means you accept whatever I say. So now you have to chant. Okay? Hare Krishna.